California bill would eliminate free speech, require online fact-checkers. California Senator Richard Pan / Facebook by Max Slovo at shtplan.com. California Senator Richard Pan, the infamous fascist who forced a mandatory vaccination law through in order to rake in money from Big Pharma, has decided there should no longer be free speech for anyone other than the government. Pan's new bill proposes to require online fact-checkers to verify content before anything can be posted on the internet. Anyone who has ever said tyranny cannot come to America has been proven wrong. Pan's new bill would basically outlaw questioning the government's official narrative, and is reminiscent of the book-burning days of Nazi Germany. The bill supposedly only targets social media in California, but as John Rappaport points out, once you read the bill, it applies to the whole of the internet. This isn't some sort of prank either. The leftists in power are getting desperate in their attempts to control information and produce propaganda, and this is just more evidence of such. We experienced evidence of this yesterday when Shtplan reported that the Department of Homeland Security has been instructed to compile a database of all journalists and online media influencers. But that's all beginning now, here, in the land of the free. Last week, Shtplan interviewed Sarah Leach, who was detained without charges for survivalist posts on her own Facebook page, but we are expected to believe that DHS has no nefarious reasoning for compiling a list of all journalists, bloggers, podcasters, or as they like to call them, media influencers. FedBizOps.gov posted a relatively benign-sounding subject, Media Monitoring Services by DHS. Of course, the government always makes basic human rights violations sound benign when we all know they are anything but. The details of the attached statement of work outline a plan to gather and monitor the public activities of media professionals and influencers, and are enough to cause nightmares of constitutional and basic fundamental human rights proportions, particularly as the freedom of the press is under attack worldwide. Yes, that includes in the United States, and attack is not hyperbolic. Shtplan, should this bill in California pass, the state will actually have major regulations on free speech and give themselves the power to prosecute speech criminals. Don't believe it? Well, the bill is short. Here's what it says. SB 1424. This bill would require any person who operates a social media, as defined, internet website with a physical presence in California to develop a strategic plan to verify news stories shared on its website. The bill would require the plan to include, among other things, a plan to mitigate the spread of false information through news stories, the utilization of fact-checkers to verify news stories, providing outreach to social media users, and placing a warning on a news story containing false information. Any person who operates a social media internet website with physical presence in California shall develop a strategic plan to verify news stories shared on its internet website. B. The strategic plan shall include, but is not limited to, all of the following. 1. A plan to mitigate the spread of false information through news stories. 2. The utilization of fact-checkers to verify news stories. 3. Providing outreach to social media users regarding news stories containing false information. 4. Placing a warning on a news story containing false information. C. As used in this section, social media means an electronic service or account, or electronic content, including, but not limited to, videos, still photographs, blogs, video blogs, podcasts, instant and text messages, email, online services or accounts, or internet website profiles or locations. In other words, no one may use their human right to free speech to question the government's official story anymore. Regardless of whether the facts given make any sense or not, people will be banned from saying so. In case you believe there are too many websites and blogs based in California to enforce a new draconian law, let me explain how the game works. Behind closed doors, the state government would decide to focus on a few big issues, for example, gun control, vaccines, and immigration. Enforcement agencies would go after the biggest internet operations expressing politically unacceptable points of view on those subjects. At first, a spread of smaller operations would feel the heat. Later, so-called fact-checkers would come from government-supported groups who agree with official positions. In other words, They wouldn't be fact-checkers at all, they would be prime news fakers. Jon Rappoport. Although this and the database of journalists operated by DHS are huge human and constitutional rights violations, it's become abundantly clear that the government does not care at all and will continue to advance tyranny and grab more power for themselves. When is the breaking point? It used to be a 3% tax on tea. Now, it certainly feels like there's nothing Americans won't give up to keep giving the government more power over their lives. By Max Lavo@ShtPlan.com. God bless. Bruce Johnson, Right Wing Tribune. Be sure to follow us on Nation in Distress and America's Freedom Fighters on Facebook.